Hey racers, and welcome back to another live stream. Today's live stream is on the Wildwood Rock Extreme Enduro, which is usually held in November. And so I wanted to tackle this one because this is to do with extreme enduro. I've done a lot of chatting lately about desert racing. I normally chat a lot about motocross and prep for motocross events, and not so much for extreme enduro. So thought I'd help you guys out a little bit and give you some insights, and particularly three hacks or three areas to prepare for this year or later on this year. We've got going, what are we? Oh, today's the 1st of June. So we've got roughly 5-6 months. Hey, Daniel, till you guys get out there and give it a crack. So I want to help you to climb the results sheet as best you can. If it's your first time going in, it's definitely a tough event. And if you've done it before, obviously you know what to expect, but you've probably got a specific result or outcome or amount of laps that you want to get for your specific class. So now's really the time to start thinking about it, because you've got a really good run up and a really good lead up to start getting yourself ready, not just riding wise, but physically as well. And that's what I'll be talking about today, is the off the bike stuff, okay, the physical prep going to race day. So 3 hacks. The first hack is strength. So for extreme enduro, strength is a massive part of what you guys do. Okay, it's a huge part of what you guys do, more so than motocross, more so than road racing, even I would say more so than trials. And the reason being is that you're doing trials type riding, okay, obstacles that people would, hey Sean, that people would tackle on a trials bike, but you don't have a trials bike. You've got a bike that probably weighs maybe double what a trials bike would weigh. So strength is really where majority of your work needs to be able to be prepared for this event. You guys have there's lots of pivot turns. So if you look at the track from last year, from 2020, from the videos I watched, once you get off the prologue track and get out into the real world, out into the wild, there's a lot of pivot turns and tight turns, especially coming up hills, and a lot of tight downhills as well. And when you're doing those types of turns, and even when you're getting stuck, if you get stuck on rock gardens, and especially the bigger rock gardens that were there, when you're trying to muscle the bike around and you're having to move the bike and get it to the right line, that takes a lot of strength. So there's no amount of cardio or cycling and things like that you can do that's going to allow you to build that strength, apart from doing weight training. So if you look at the weight of your bike, you might be riding, say, a 300, might be about 100 kilos, maybe a little bit more, okay, once it's full of fuel and all the rest of it, roughly 100 kilos. And then you've got your body weight on top of that. So if you weigh 70 kilos, that's 170 kilos you've got when we combine those two together. So when you're doing those pivot turns, you're trying to pivot turn 170 kilos, okay? When you're trying to move the front of the bike off rocks, or even move the back of the bike off rocks, okay, or get it onto a better line, you've got 170 kilos there in total. Even if you're not lifting that whole amount up off the floor, even if you're only lifting half of that, half of 170 would be, what, 85 kilos, right? Still lifting 85 kilos up off the floor and doing that continuously while you're trying to ride the bike at the same time. So there's no way of getting around strength building apart from building strength. And so the best way to be able to do that is using a bar and weights. Okay, it's doing movements like deadlifts, doing movements like bent over rows, overhead presses, squats, and trying to build up your strength as much as you can over these next 5 or so months. The stronger you can get yourself, the lighter the bike's going to start to feel for you. Okay, and the lighter your bike feels, the easier it is for you to muscle around, the easier it is for you to do pivot turns, the easier it is for you to lift the bike off into a different section while you're doing rock gardens. Or there were some of those sections at Wildwood where it was one section, but there was multiple different lines. Like there was one part where there was like trailers that you could go up, or you could go through the rock garden, or you could go over the barrels, or you could go through the middle. Like there's all these different sections. And some of those sections you could interchange. You could like cross over to different sections. Especially through some of the rock gardens there was multiple lines. And if one line was shit, you could kind of like hop over to another line. But to be able to do that, you have to have a lot of strength there to be able to move the bike, number one. But number two, to do it without fatiguing so much. Hey, Mash, do it without fatiguing so much that it's going to affect you for the following sections. That's the biggest difference I find with the riders that I work with, especially like for the guys that do the grassroots series and do a lot of extreme enduro, is the strength will help you with particular sections. There's particular sections on extreme enduro tracks or circuits that do require a lot of strength. So let's say you go through a rock garden, really big rocks, you're really muscling the bike around. It's more you walking the bike through and muscling it around than it is actually riding. That takes a lot of strength in that section. But that's not the only benefit to strength building. The benefit to strength building is that if you have a lot of strength and that section feels a lot easier, you're using a lot less energy. And so if you use a lot less energy in that section, that means you've got more energy left for the coming sections. So if you're at Wildwood and you go through one of those really tough rock gardens, I know there was some rock gardens there that were a bit smaller, which were easier to get through, and there were some which were a lot bigger with a lot bigger rocks, which were quite tough to get through. If you're expending all of your energy on that one big rock garden section, and then you've still got another half the lap to go, then you're going to find all of those other obstacles that you would normally find easy a lot harder. And you're going to find them a lot harder because you're under fatigue. And when you're under fatigue, that's when your concentration starts to go, your coordination starts to go, your thinking starts to go, your reaction times are a lot slower. So all of those things that are normally easy for you now become really difficult because there's fatigue there. So when you get stronger, you not only have the strength to get through those tougher sections, you also fatigue less from those sections. And when you fatigue less from those sections, you've got more energy left for the following sections as well. So your consistency on the lap and your consistency with each different section is a lot better as well. So you get more laps in or better lap times if you're already getting the right amount of laps in. So that's the first thing. Get strong, guys. Spend time, invest in a barbell, invest in some weights, get a gym membership, do whatever it takes to be able to build the strength that you need to muscle that bike around. There's no way around building strength except getting under some heavy weight and getting strong. The second area is cardio. So there's two components, and this is one of the things that makes extreme enduro so tough, is as important as strength is, it's not just you go through one rock garden, it's really hard, you really muscle the bike around and then the section's done. You've got heaps of these sections around the track. So you've got these periods of the track which are really intense. So it might be a rock garden, you might be going over barrels, you might be going over like a hill climb, whether it's man-made or was out on the part that was on the side of the hill. You could be going uphill. You've got these sections which are really tough. And so these demand 100% of your attention, 100% of your strength, 100% of your ability and fitness. But then there's other parts of the track which are really easy. Like there was parts around the prologue track where it was like really flat. There was a part where I think it was where like the prologue connected up to the outside bit, where there was a nice like big straight, and it was almost like a road racing. So it was just dead flat, or pretty flat. That's your rest period and quite fast. So you've got periods of the parts of the track which are really intense, and parts of the track that aren't really intense. Same with the obstacles as well. There's some stuff there that's quite easy that majority of you are going to fly through. Some parts which are really hard, which held up a lot of riders. So you've got a fluctuation in intensity. So if we just do strength training, you're going to have a problem with your breathing because you're not going to be able to recover between sections. You might be good and have the strength for one section, and then you get to the next section, and then you're cooked. That's it, you're done. So we also need to make sure that we're working on your breathing and your conditioning. When you work on your breathing and your conditioning, what this allows is your body to be able to break down energy and break down carbs more efficiently and effectively to deliver nutrients that it needs to your muscles, so your muscles can keep firing at the same rate. So instead of having strength up here that drops like this, okay, after you use it, say for a rock garden, we want to have strength that drops like this as we're going through a lap. So we want to have much less drop off. And the way you do that is through your cardio. So you want to make sure that you're mimicking the intensity of, say, Wildwood with your training during the week. And the way that you do that is through interval training. So I'll give you an example. Could be on the rowing machine. What you would do on the rower, you might get on the rower and you do a minute flat out as hard as you can go. And then you do a minute rest. Okay, minute flat out as hard as you can go, a minute rest. Or it could be 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. Or it could be 15 seconds on, 45 seconds off. You can do 5, 10, 15, 20 rounds depending on what you're doing and where your fitness level is at the moment. But ultimately what we're doing is we're replicating the intensity of your racing. Okay, so when you go to Wildwood, you've got short, sharp bursts of very high intensity physical effort, followed by rest between obstacles. Very hard, intense effort, followed by rest. Okay, very hard, intense effort, followed by rest. And that's what we want to get your body used to. So if you're doing longer cardio, like you're going for long cycles and doing long rows and doing 45 minute to an hour workout, you're not training for the demands of the race. you're training differently. Okay. A lot of people look at, like, especially extreme enduro, like it might take you, I don't know, an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, depending on the race that you're doing, to do a lap or do multiple laps. And riders look at that as, okay, it's 3 hours, so I've got to do, if I train for 45 minutes to an hour, then that's going to get me closer to being able to ride for 2 or 3 hours. But riding for 2 or 3 hours isn't actually riding for 2 or 3 hours. It's not a marathon. It's a series of sprints. Okay, so again, with Wildwood, you've got really hard sections. You sprint for a bit, your body's using 100% effort, everything that it's got, and then it gets a rest as you get to the next obstacle, or there's a bit of a straight, or there's an easier section. It's always on, off, on, off, on, off. You might be giving it 100% effort, but in terms of what's required from your body is up, down, up, down, up, down. Okay, like going through one of those straights around the prologue section, minimal to little effort. Okay, effort in terms of you giving it 100% effort, but in terms of the fatigue it's causing in your body is little to none. Okay, it's almost effortless. So that's how we tackle the cardio. You just want to make sure you're doing the right work. If we're doing a series of sprints at Wildwood, you want to do a series of sprints with your off the bike training as well. Okay, not train like a marathon runner and then expect to get good at 100-meter sprints when you go and race. Third thing is nutrition. So you've got 5 months to prep nutrition-wise. When you go out riding, a lot of riders I find focus on the riding and focus on the skills and all that sort of stuff, which is important. But one of the things that gets neglected is testing nutrition. Riders seem to save all the nutrition hacks, nutrition stuff for race day. And it's like, well, if your nutrition system is that good that you actually notice a difference from doing it, wouldn't you want to do that every race or every ride, right? Because if you can feel better every ride, you ride better every ride. You enjoy your riding more. You get less fatigue. You're going to develop your skills a lot quicker if you're fatiguing less, because you're actually riding and able to give it 100% focus for a hill climb, for a rock garden, for going over some barrels, rather than going out there and really sucking at things that you were good at a couple of hours ago when you were fresh. So when it comes to nutrition, test run your nutrition as you go into race day. So every time you go for a ride, tweak things, try different things. Okay, maybe you don't, maybe carb powders aren't good for you, and maybe you need to use a carb gel. Maybe putting Powerade in your Camelback is the way to go. Okay, maybe you need to have a protein shake between rides or during rides when you get back to the car. Maybe a pre-race meal is shit, and you need to put some attention into what's happening 3 to 4 hours before you ride. So there's a heap of strategies which you can find on my page. You can watch through my other videos specifically on nutrition. But use the ride days that you have and race days, the other events, between now and then as test runs. So when you get to Wildwood for this year, it's not guesswork. Okay, you're not trying to think about, okay, what am I going to do? Should I have my Powerade? Should I have this? Should I have that? How am I going to feel? Am I going to deal with cramping? Am I going to get arm pump? Are my fingers going to get sore? Am I going to get sore legs? I want to eliminate all of that stuff and get that stuff all out of the way now. And they're things that you can work on now and definitely see progress with between now and then. So they're the 3 areas. Please give the video a like if you are doing Wildwood, or if you found the video helpful. Helps to share the video around also with other riders that are doing Wildwood. So to recap, first of all is get strong. Okay, develop your strength, get under a barbell, get some gym training in, start getting your body stronger and make that bike feel light. And your ability to tackle different obstacles is going to greatly improve, because the bike is going to feel so much lighter. It's going to feel like you're riding a trials bike, even though you're still riding an enduro bike. Cardio. Make sure you're doing the right type of cardio. Okay, do the intensity that you have on race day, we need to replicate that. Okay, it's not a 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour ride that we're trying to replicate. What we're replicating is a small series of sprints. It's sprint, rest, sprint, rest, sprint, rest. Exactly like what's happening when you go out and race. And then the third one is nutrition. So you want to make sure that you're test running your nutrition. Okay, there's plenty of stuff that you can use nutrition-wise to be able to help you with your racing. And I've actually got one here, which I've got a free download that you can grab, which would probably be a good start for you guys, which will map out all of the nutrition for you. I didn't get it. I wasn't planning on actually sharing it on this video, but I'll get it for you guys now and put it in the comments. But you want to make sure that you're doing a test run, okay, with all of your riding and racing that you do. So it's too common that riders, here it is, So if you want to grab a copy of the race day nutrition system for free, you can grab it there. I just put the link in the comments for you guys. It's far too common for me to see riders that go and practice and they do completely different things with how they prepare their body for racing compared to practicing. Like if you can improve your performance for every single practice that you do by 10%, that's 10% on top of 10% on top of 10% on top of 10%, right? You're going to greatly improve your riding. You're going to be a completely different rider by the time 5 months comes down the road and you get to, by the time Wildwood actually gets here. But it's all just those little things that you can do, those little tweaks, and it's about not saving them for race day. Okay, if they're actually making a difference for you and you actually feel better, then do them every single time you ride. Okay, do them with your training. If you've got a strategy you use that helps you with energy, use it for all your training sessions, all your gym sessions, okay, all your riding sessions, all your practice sessions. Use it for everything. If you've got something that helps you recover really well, don't just use it for race day once a year or a couple of times a year. Use it for everything. Use it for all your training sessions. Use it for all your practice sessions, all your riding sessions, all your skill sessions, everything to be able to make you a better racer. So like I said, there's a nutrition plan there. If you want to grab a copy of it, you're welcome to grab it there and start implementing it for your coming rides. And that's really all I've got for today. If there's anyone out there, if you guys would like some help specifically for Wildwood Rock Extreme Enduro in November, or you've got another Extreme Enduro event, and you'd like everything mapped out on a silver platter so that you can really kick some ass, then please send me a private message. Let me know what you're working towards with your riding and racing, and then I'll see if I can help. If I can, great. If I can't, then I should be able to at least point you in the right direction or refer you to someone who can help. Anyways, thanks for jumping on, guys. I appreciate you guys watching my videos and supporting me. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. Otherwise, I will chat to you guys soon. See ya.